Hello, everyone. This is Robert. I just wanted to make a quick video about a couple of things. The most important thing is about relationships. I guess if you are one of those people who have went through a bad relationship, you went through a situation where your heart has been broken, perhaps you were in a marriage or just a long-term relationship, and you find that right now things are almost impossible to bear. I just wanted to sort of make a video to kind of help and push you along and just tell you from personal experience that things do get better, and they certainly take a lot of time. My own personal situation was I was in, a marriage and relationship for about 20 years, and one of the mistakes I made was I put my spouse up on a pedestal and essentially put my spouse above God in so many aspects. Even though I was a Christian at the time, it was just something that I did that wasn't good. God knows our heart. He knows everything. He knows what we're going through right now. He knows our situation. And I just want to tell you that if we keep pushing forward with prayer and just trusting in God, at some point that broken heart will be healed. I don't know the exact passage that talks about, how God deals with the broken heart, but you can certainly Google it, and I'm going to take a look now and see if I can find the verse just to read it to you. And there's many verses that talk about God helping with a broken heart and healing that heart. It takes time. The biggest thing is that we have to put our trust in God, and things do get better over time. One of the verses that I found is, Come unto me, ye who are weary and overburdened, and I will give you rest. That's Matthew 11:28. I think that's a great verse. There's 1 Peter 5:7. Cast your cares upon the Lord, for he cares about you. And then, of course, you have Psalm 51:17. The sacrifices of God are a broken spirit, a broken and contrite heart. These, O God, you will not despise. And again, there's just so many verses that you can read. The other thing I like to try to tell people is to keep yourself busy. One of the things that the enemy tries to do when you come out of a relationship is he tries to get you to focus on the good times and the memories. Of course, all of that is important, but that has passed. You are now in the future. You're beyond that. That is no longer the case or the situation. A lot of times the enemy wants to keep us trapped in those thoughts and in those memories so that we can't proceed and move on with our life. I myself personally have went through a situation where I was trapped for almost a year, not able to work, emotionally distraught, and my ex-spouse wouldn't give me any type of mercy, any time of day. And at the time, it was such a horrible, cruel thing to do. But the Lord took that situation and He strengthened me. I didn't think I could do this on my own, and essentially I was, but I was with God. God is always there. But sometimes you do feel alone, and let me tell you, when it's just you and God and you're alone, you learn many things about yourself. And these things have to happen in order for us to spiritually grow, to mature, to become stronger, better people. Forgiveness is another important thing. Anger, resentment, all of those things you have to request God to take away from you. And for myself, it was very difficult because I had some anger issues, and it was very difficult for me to let those things go. In fact, it was almost impossible for me. The only way that I was able to literally release those things was really through just prayer. A lot of prayer, a lot of communication with God, and just reading and understanding, what God was trying to tell me. And speaking of that, you're not always going to understand what God is trying to show you right away. You're not going to understand, why you're in your situation right away. The light bulb doesn't always go off immediately, and things take time. And you have to be patient. You have to be patient and you have to pray. Sooner or later, God will reveal those answers to you, either through a person, perhaps through a dream, maybe something that you read, or just an actual thought that will come to mind, or someone may make a comment. And there's different ways that God will get his message to you. Keep praying for the answer. Stay steadfast in prayer. Stay connected with God, and just continually serve him. And the other thing is, do what is right. You know, a lot of times when people come out of long-term relationships or relationships in general, they're holding on to that anger and that fear, and they do things out of spite or spiteful things. Or if they have kids, they may use their children as pawns or as negotiating tools when you divorce and when you separate from your significant other. Those things you can't do. As tempting as they are, those are things you do not want to do. They're very unhealthy, not only for you, but for your child in that particular example. So, you know, just stay focused on God, remain in prayer. Don't hold on to the old memories. You know, I'm certainly not saying to people, first of all, understand I'm not condoning divorce. In fact, I hate divorce. I don't believe in divorce. When I married for life. Unfortunately, though, for whatever reason, at this point in time of my life, God had a different plan. I did everything I could in my power to try to reconcile and make that marriage work, and unfortunately, she wanted nothing to do with it. So, unfortunately, I had to bite the bullet and to move forward. So if you are in that situation, by all means, if you can reconcile, if you can go and get professional counseling, particularly through, I would say, through some sort of a Christian counselor, a godly counselor, I would certainly recommend it. Try everything you can to save your marriage and your relationship. But there are going to be times where it's just not meant to be at that particular time. And it was something I battled and I questioned over and over again with God. You know, God, you hate divorce. You don't believe in divorce. I don't want this divorce. But you see, there's three parties involved. There's you, there's God, and then there's your significant other. And there's something called free will. And unfortunately, you know, and this is my opinion based on what I've read in the Bible and what I understand, that God doesn't always impose on people's free will. We have a choice in life. We're not robots. So, you know, if you and God are in agreements, but the third person isn't, sometimes those relationships don't work out right away. It's not to say that that third person who isn't in agreement doesn't come into agreement later on. But what I found is not simply to wait around, but to continue to pray to God that whatever his will is in that situation, to let it be done. Surrender everything to God. You know, let his will be done in your life. Give it all to him. Cast your worries, your burdens upon him. You know, we don't understand everything. A lot of things with God is a mystery. That's where faith comes in. So put your faith in God, you know, prayer, consistent prayer. Remain in contact with the Lord, of course. Read. You know, a good reading that I would recommend is Psalms, the book of Psalms, especially the book of Psalms. The book of Proverbs is extremely important. Read the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Romans is a very good book. You know, read these books. Learn how you can get connected better with God, how you can build your relationship with God. Because I also believe that these situations happen, again, pertaining to, you know, a marital divorce or breakup or separation. A lot of times these things happen in order to bring us closer to God. And in fact, in my situation, it actually brought me closer to God. And it was one of the best things, despite how painful it was one of the best things that has ever happened to me in my life. So I'm very grateful for that, because through our trials and our tribulations, we learn to reestablish that connection with God, to build and continue to build our relationship with the Lord. So continue in prayer, Stay out of those previous memories that you had with your ex-spouse or ex in general, and look to God. You know, build your relationship with God. That is the most important thing. We are in the end times, folks, so build your relationship with God, make that connection, remain in prayer, hang in there. It will get better. Thank you, and God bless you.